Around the House with Kay and Tom. Over the holidays I went back to North Carolina and my son sent home some venison meat with me. So I'm going to make a venison stew. We're going to use a pound of ground venison. I'm going to have potatoes, and I'm using the red potatoes. Got them washed. We're going to use a bag of baby carrots, an onion, diced tomatoes, and it's got green chilies in this can, which is fine, and a can of cream of mushroom soup. The first thing that we have to do is I'm going to brown the venison for just a few seconds, not long, that and the onions together. And then we'll put everything else in the crock pot, and we're going to leave it for a couple of hours. So to start off with, we'll get the venison and the onions browned a little bit. Okay, I'm going to spray my pan just a little bit with Pam. These shortage are going to separate the venison meat. Got my stove on, so it should start cooking in just a second. Some people add hamburger meat to venison, and that is fine to me, I think, if you're making hamburgers or meatloaf. But just to make a stew, we're just going to use it's just going to be all venison meat. Again, this is Around the House with Kay and Tom. Glad to have you join me this morning. We just want to brown this very lightly, but it just holds the flavor more if you'll just brown it just a little bit. And also, I'm going to put the onions in it. So while this is browning, then my onions will be cooking a little bit, so they'll be easier to manage. I just used a yellow onion, cut it up, and we're just going to brown the meat just a little bit. When the meat gets browned a little bit, we're going to put it in the crock pot. And I'm going to add carrots, potatoes, rotel tomatoes, and a can of mushrooms. Mushroom soup, I'm sorry. You know how when you go in a restaurant and they've got onions cooking, how it always smells so good? Well, that's exactly what this smells like already. Just this few short seconds. I do have one of the things that you can actually mix it up a little bit better. But it seems like when I put this in the pan, it came apart real easy. Fresh venison meat. North Carolina style. I have one son that is an avid hunter. He surprised me with the ground venison meat, huge steak, and beef stew. But I wanted to take this hamburger because it seems like I'm getting a lot of it. And we're just going to fix this. You don't need to brown it very much. And it's going to have 3 or 4 hours in the crock pot, but I did want it browned just a little bit. Okay. Now, I've cut that off. So I'm going over here now and get my potatoes, my carrots, and all my other ingredients ready to go. Starting off with my potatoes. I'm not going to peel my potatoes, but I will cut out any spots in them that it's not really nothing wrong with it. I just don't like them in my stew or in anything I cook. I just don't like those brown spots in there. So we just dice those up. With this one here, I'm glad I did cut this one up. I like the red potatoes. They hold their shape better. We'll cut up this one, and that should be enough. It has turned cold down here. I live in Florida. It has been cold now for 2 days. It's supposed to be colder tonight, but it's supposed to warm up tomorrow. We have carrots. I'm one of these people that I really love carrots. But I do like to look over and make sure they all look okay, which this one does. I've rinsed them off. And we'll get out our handy dandy crock pot. First thing we're going to put in it, we're going to put our venison meat and our onions. And as you can see, it's got good and brown. And if you also notice, the onions have got a little bit done. But there is no grease. Now, if you add hamburger to this, you'll need to drain it and get the grease off of it. But venison meat has very little grease, so I don't have to drain it. I just put that in the bottom of my pot. I've got my carrots and my potatoes. I'm always reading up on recipes. One of them says use tomatoes, one of them says don't. So I just figured today I would put tomatoes in it. And a can of cream of mushroom soup. And I'm also going to use 1 cup. I'm going to rinse out this cream of mushroom can with some beef broth. There we go. And I just filled up the mushroom can with beef broth so I can get all the mushroom soup out of here. You can use water. You don't have to have beef broth. A long time ago, people didn't worry about what they mixed together if they wanted a stew. Stew used to be whatever you had left over in the refrigerator. You mixed it all together, made some kind of gravy, put on top of it, and let it cook. Let it blend together. And we're going to put the lid on it. And we're going to cook it for probably 3 hours. I'll check it again. But let's just say we're going to start off with 3 hours. And then we'll come back and test it and see what we've got. And again, this is Around the House with Kay and Tom. I'm making some venison stew. And it's ground venison. It's not the cube or anything. It's ground venison stew. And we will be back. Please subscribe Around the House to Kay and Tom. Okay, this has been cooking 3.5 hours. So let's just see what we have got. Well, it looks good. I want to make sure that my carrots are done. Oh yes. So we're going to get some in a bowl, and I'm going to give it a taste. So we had venison, ground venison. I've got carrots, potatoes, onions, mushroom soup, and beef broth. Boy, it's so hot. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to taste it right this moment or not. But it really looks good. You can either have a bowl of it like this. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to toast me 2 slices of bread and just make it like open sandwich, hot roast. And like I say, see, the carrots are good and done. Just a different way of fixing some stew. I did not use any ground beef. This is all venison meat. And again, this is Around the House with Kay and Tom. Thank you for watching my channel. Please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And try this out. It's really good. Around the House with Kay and Tom. I'll see you next time.